Yeah, man!
Hello, my name is Miguel, and today I'm gonna make for you red cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew. Alright, so you're gonna need some red cabbage, about 2 cups chopped, broccoli, half crown, tablespoon of parsley, tablespoon of basil, teaspoon marjoram, quarter teaspoon oregano, teaspoon grinded rosemary, and quarter teaspoon pimento berries, optional. Half scotch bonnet pepper or red pepper, or you can use quarter teaspoon shredded red pepper. 4 garlic cloves, an onion, stalk of scallion, which is optional, 1 cup coconut milk. I'm using coconut milk from the can. About 2 tablespoons coconut oil, and a tablespoon distilled white vinegar, and a teaspoon or less salt. I use sea salt. Red cabbage. The label actually says purple cabbage. I was actually asking the cashier what does the computer said, and she said it says purple cabbage. But we're in the Caribbean, so but I just look on the internet and it says red cabbage because I know it was red cabbage. Do as you see me doing, remove dying leaves and then cut off stem. Today, this recipe calls for 2 cups of shredded red cabbage. Use a chopping board and remove the stem and cut away from you. I have a bowl with some water. I just added a tablespoon of salt to the water. You can add several drops of distilled white vinegar if you don't want to use the salt. We do this to get rid of worm and dirt. Because this cabbage was chopped, I'm kind of just trimming off the chopped side. It's kind of brown. So sometimes you use half the cabbage, you put it in the refrigerator. When you're going to use the second half, all you do is just trim off the outside. Alright, so put the cabbage in the water, allow it to soak for a while, maybe 15-20 minutes. Remove worm and dirt. Now gather all of your ingredients, starting with the scallion. Do as you see me doing. Remove dying leaves, cut off ends, the root end and the tip of the leaf that's dying. Scallion is optional. You can use chive if you don't have access to scallion. Peel garlic. Cut off ends, trim spoilage. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe. And I have a book called Vegan Dinners. Get it? I like to cut the onion in half. It's easier to handle. Remove brown leaf, cut off ends, trim spoilage. Next, get a bowl, add enough water, drizzle several drops of distilled white vinegar, wash vegetables properly. Rub the skin of the leaf, rub the scallions leaf properly. After that, give your vegetables a final rinse on the fresh running water. It's best if you do this part on the fresh running water. Put that aside for later. Get a bowl, add enough water, drizzle several drops of distilled white vinegar. Now we're going to wash broccoli or for cooking. You just want about a cup broccoli florets. Alright, so do as you see me doing. Remove the leaf, not the tiny leaves on top, that's the big leaves. Remove those big leaves and cut florets, broccoli florets. Try and keep as much of the stem on the florets. Try and keep most of the stem on the florets. Once you do that, add the florets to the water and wash your broccoli properly. Look between the stems for worms and dirt, and wash your broccoli properly. Now, after that, give it a final rinse with a fresh running water. Parsley was right in front of my face all this time and I have to find it. These things happen to the best of us. The next, gather all vegetables, gather your herbs and your vegetables together. I'm using this plate. I'm going to place everything on this plate. So measure and add a tablespoon of dried parsley. Now I'm adding a tablespoon of dried basil. Remember now, you can use any of these herbs fresh. Keep the herbs together, called herbal, and the spices separate. Measure and add a quarter teaspoon of oregano, marjoram, about a teaspoon or half teaspoon marjoram. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe because I'm just cooking a small amount today. I'm not using full recipe. Grind rosemary fine because you don't want big leaves in your stew. Although for this, grind it fine, it's better. It's never nice, even when you cook meat, it's never nice to see these big leaves. Grind rosemary fine. We are using a teaspoon. Keep your herbs together. Measure and put aside a quarter teaspoon dried pimento berries. You can use peppercorn instead. A teaspoon of salt. I use sea salt. Put this aside for later. Next, we're going to slice, dice, and chop. Starting with the onion. Do as you see me doing and slice the onion. You can dice it as well. I'm slicing the onions 1/16 of an inch. Next, dice scallion. Remember now, you can use chive instead, and the scallion is optional. Grind garlic to puree. ingredients separate. I have Scotch bonnet pepper. You can use chili pepper, and you can use 1/4 teaspoon shredded red pepper. Put this aside for later. This is our cabbage. It's been soaking for 15-20 minutes. I know it's clean, it's very clean, but for precaution, you see how the color of the water got dirty? It's probably not dirty, it's just purple a little bit, or red, it's just red a little bit. Once you do that, just throw off this water and throw on fresh water and give this red cabbage a final rinse. It's best if you do this part on the fresh running water. Next, we're going to chop or shred this red cabbage. What I like to do is cut alongside the grain, whereby when you cut it, you see long strips of red cabbage, or long sticks or fingers of red cabbage. So do as you see me doing. Measure about an inch, between an inch and a half width, and shred cabbage, medium size. Separate the leaves, put it in a bowl. You see, one of my tips with cooking vegan is to chop your vegetables a little bit bigger. Don't dice it. Do as you see me doing. Chop your red cabbage medium size. At the end of the day, for this recipe, you want 2 cups. That's the idea. Red cabbage is the best. It's stronger than the other one. Put these aside for later. Before you open the can, shake it well. I'm using coconut milk from the can. So open the can of coconut milk. If you're doing this method, cut away from you. That way, if the knife slips, it slips in the air. Now measure a cup. I'm using 1 cup of this rich coconut milk. Put this aside for later. Now get a saucepan. I'm using a medium-sized saucepan. Be sure the saucepan is dried out. I'm using a paper towel to dry out the inside right now. Put the stove gauge on low, almost off low. Put dry saucepan to heat. Add your spices. In today's case, we're using dried pimento berries. You can use peppercorn instead. Next, measure and add 2 tablespoons of oil, of cooking oil. I use coconut oil. The objective here is to flavor the oil with the pimento berries. By keeping the stove gauge on low, it reduces the risk of the berries bursting. After 5 minutes and the cooking oil is flavored with your spices, remove it. I'm using a cooking spoon to scoop these cooked pimento berries. I can smell the aroma, so I know the flavor is in the cooking oil. Now would be a good time to turn the stove gauge up on 4 medium-low. Add your sliced onions. Stir it in a few times. Allow it to saute. between 20 seconds later, add your diced scallion. Stir it in a few times, allow to saute, building additional flavors, not in a bottle. Allow. After 10-15 seconds, add your mashed garlic. Stir it in a few times, allow to saute. 5-10 seconds later, you know what I like to do? I just like to add red cabbage on top and just let it stay for like 10 seconds or so. The vegetables are still sauteing on the bottom. After 10 seconds or so, do as you see me do. Use a cooking spoon and lift and stir gently. Try and keep the cabbage in the saucepan. Next, add your herb oil. And the salt. Do as you see me doing. Lift and stir gently. The stove's gauge is on 4, medium low. That's what you want. Now add cup coconut milk. I like to just like pour about a tablespoon of water in the sauce just to get out all that nice milk, all that nice coconut milk, and just pour it in the saucepan. Alright, now stir it in a few times. Next, measure and add a tablespoon distilled white vinegar, stir it in. This is a true vegan cooking recipe. This recipe will be in the cookbook Vegan Dinners. It's the name of the cookbook. This is what you want. Keep the lid off. Just allow the coconut milk to brew and become creamy. After 3 minutes with the saucepan's lid off, this is what it looks like. Get a cooking spoon and stir your pot in a few times. See how fast the coconut milk is boiling out. Now would be a good time to add your broccoli florets and the pepper. Stir that in, lift and fold while it simmers. While this red cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew simmers. That's the idea. That's what you want. Just allow it to simmer with the pan's lid off. After 5 minutes, this is what it looks like. Now would be a good time to remove the pepper. Stir your pot in. See how fast the coconut milk is. See how fast the water in the coconut milk is evaporating. You can take a piece of the cabbage, although you can eat cabbage raw, but just to see if it's tenderized. This is good. I'm on the right track. This is what you want. Stirring in, keep the lid off, allowing the coconut milk to creamify. the idea, finish. That's it. This took 5 between 6 minutes. Use the pan's lid and cover the pan properly until serving. It's best served now because you'll be dealing with vegetables, and if you let it stay too long it's gonna get soft. Alright, so before serving, stir your pot in and moist up all this vegetable. Take a scoop of this delicious looking red cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew, and lay it on a plate. You can have this meal with spaghetti, any pasta. You can have it with rice, etc. This is red cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew. Visit JamaicaDinners.com for the recipe. Subscribe, like, share. You must try cooking this meal yourself. And when you do, remember, come back and give us feedback. Alright, let's sample this exotic vegan dinner. Would you call this exotic? It looks exotic to me. I'm having it today with spaghetti. You see how it looks delicious? The flavor of it, all the ingredients that I use blend this meal lovely. It's just one lovely meal. That's all I have to say so far. The cabbage, purple cabbage doesn't have an outstanding flavor per se. So it looks purple, no, red cabbage. Red cabbage doesn't have a strong flavor per se as how it looks. So it look bitterish. It's not. It's very flavorful, fresh, and flavorful. It goes well with the spaghetti. You wouldn't think a vegan meal like this will work like a real dinner. Get my book, Vegan Dinners. Look how creamy. It's because of the red cabbage you can't see the creaminess of the coconut milk. But you can see how thick the sauce is. I am enjoying this meal right now. It's very healthy. The herbs only spruces the flavor and add more nutrients to the meal and in your body. The broccoli is crunchy. The red cabbage is cooked just right. Red cabbage is high in a lot of things. It's better than the green cabbage. The pepper is about 10-15% spiciness. It goes well with the meal. And the pepper is optional. You don't have to use it. This does look exotic. Look at it. It looks like raspberry in it. Look at all that herbs. Look at the herbal. Herbs, the herbal blend lovely in this meal. When you try this recipe, use the exact same amount of herbs that I recommend, and you will enjoy this meal. Look at all that herbs. This red cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew is delicious right now. I know it's difficult to visualize delicious with vegan dinners, but get vegan dinners and you'll see why. Even the distilled white vinegar, it just blends perfect. The tanginess is just right. It's not even outstanding. It's just it's just equal in the meal. It's like each ingredients hold its own. Even the rosemary. You know, like when you mix, alright, you know, like when you make a cake and you have each ingredient, and at the end of the day, when you mix it, you get this one cake, this nice, lovely cake. This is what this meal is like. All the ingredients just give you this one lovely dish, cuisine, a vegan cuisine. And the red, well, it looks purple, makes it even more exotic, if you ask me. And it goes well with pasta. It goes really, really good with pasta. You can use any pasta. Just now when I came from the supermarket, I saw a lot. I saw lots of styles and patterns, colors and shapes, etc. Alright guys, thanks for watching me eat this purple cabbage, broccoli, coconut stew. Until next time, bless you.
Yeah, man!